Coming up on today's show, I'm going to be keeping you up to date with all of the Declan Rice latest transfer news, as well as a couple of other rumours and all the West Ham news that is coming up next. And the place to be is right here on West Ham Official. See you in a minute. So we will start with Declan Rice, as we always does, and with Arsenal. Now, there's been various reports and more information regarding the Arsenal bids that have been put in over the last 24 hours or so. I haven't done one of these shows for a couple of days, and the news has kept on coming. So Arsenal, of course, will sell some humiliation, to be honest with you, as the details of their bids have been revealed. So we are now know from various reports that the first bid that Arsenal put in was for £60 million plus £15 million of unrealistic add-ons, is what as top source in West Ham called it. And that's pathetic, really. £60 million, that's half of what we, initially put on the table. David Sullivan has said in interviews he wants £120 million for Declan Rice. Their opening offer was £60 million plus £15 million unrealistic add-ons, which I can only assume would be to get far in the Champions League or to win the Premier League next season. Those sorts of stuff with add-ons like that. And then they came back in just yesterday or the day before with a similar sort of deal with £75 million, so they upped it a bit, with £15 million unrealistic add-ons. So we've gone up a little bit, but the total around £90 million. But we're not going to get those £90 million because they'll be paid in instalments, and the add-ons, we're not guaranteed to get that money. So, it all looks well and good that Arsenal have bid £90 million. No, they haven't. They've bid £75 million in instalments plus £15 million add-ons if they do well or Declan Rice does well. So we're not going to receive anywhere near that amount of money straight away, which is what David Moyes and David Sullivan is after. So Arsenal are bringing up the low ball tactics. They're low balling us. They're putting in, measly little offers, and we're holding firm and are waiting for other clubs to come in. Now, those other clubs that I do want to discuss, they are both the Manchester clubs, and we'll start with the red side of Manchester. So Man United are considering a Maguire and McTominay plus cash deal for Declan Rice. They're weighing it up. They're finalising a potential bid to put in, including Maguire and McTominay. I've realised I spelled Maguire wrong on there. Apologies for that. But the thing with it is that, look, you've got Maguire and McTominay there. If you take Man United out of them, I don't think they're going to be two bad players. But is that what we want? A centre half? Yes, possibly. Of course, we're going to need a centre midfielder. If we sell Rice, which is the likely, which is very likely in this situation, would you take those players, and what plus cash would you take if you're going to include those players in there? How much would you, how much would you rate Maguire and McTominay? How much money would they bring together to knock off the 120 or around that West Ham currently want for Declan Rice? Could that be an option? I am not sure. Let's see what you're saying in the chat. Craig says, I think we need to tell Arsenal if the next bid is not good enough, no more bids. Stop wasting ours and your time. Exactly. Good afternoon. I hope you are all well. It's got to be 95 plus. And I think the issue that Arsenal are finding here is that they're putting 60, I think I saw before I came on air, they're putting on about £65 million for Kai Havertz. I mean, Kai Havertz, come on. Kai Havertz, really? Really? £65 million for Kai Havertz, which means that they're not really rating Rice more than they are Kai Havertz. Rice, one of the best defensive midfielders in this league. Kai Havertz failed drastically in a Chelsea side last season. They need to make this make sense because we're laughing at them currently. We are laughing at Arsenal with these bids they're putting in. And they are they're obviously not seeing what we're seeing in the player. They're trying to get a good deal out of it, which they're just not going to do. I'm sorry. He's not worth £65 million to us. You're just not going to get that. I don't know why on earth they put in those offers to start with, because they're not only embarrassing themselves, Arsenal completely embarrassing themselves by putting these bids in. I mean, if you want the player, pay the money. Arsenal, you've got the money, pay it. What's the issue here? Why are you putting in all these add-ons? You know, what's the need? Put the money on the table. We'll accept it. You can have him. This is going to drag on and on and on because Arsenal keep putting in these stupid bids of 65 and 75 million pounds. It's nowhere near good enough. We're never going to accept it in a million years. So Arsenal, if you're watching this, you ain't. But if you're watching this, put a decent offer on the table and we might accept it. That's how these things work. We put a valuation on the table and they're missing it by £40 million. So we're not going to accept it, are we? Like, are they serious about this? Like, what are they doing? What are they doing? Lee says Arsenal have champagne taste, lemonade money. Exactly. But the issue is that they've got the money there. We know that. You know, they're not struggling for a few quid. They've just put a lot of money on the table for Kai Havertz, which baffles me, to be honest with you. They haven't got an out and out striker as it is with Jesus, because I don't think he is that sort of player. So they're now going to sign another player that's not really an out striker and try and play him there as well. But who knows? Fremmer, thanks for joining me. Michael says their second bid was lower than their first. That's what we initially thought, because we thought the first bid was around 70 to 80 million pounds, but it's now come out that the first bid was in fact 60 million pounds plus 15 million pound add-ons. So the first bid was lower than we initially thought, which means the second bid was a slight improvement, but of course it's nowhere near what we are looking for. Fremmer says seriously, I almost want the deal to fail. The way Arsenal have behaved, both club and fans. Arsenal just irritated us, which I thought would happen anyway. That geezer on AFTV, Nicky, held his calm to an extent. But I mean, there's been an uproar about that. Their fans have been taking the mick. They've put in these stupid offers. Arsenal were not putting themselves in a good light here, both fans, club, from all perspectives of it. They've annoyed us, and it wouldn't surprise me if they put in one more stupid bid. We'll go, just shut up, you know? I don't know. If they're not serious about it, why are they putting in these bids? We've made it crystal clear. There's not like there's a sort of differentiation and a sort of no idea how much we want. We've publicly came out and we want north of £100 million. So why are you offering 60, 70, 80 million pounds to start with? I don't know. Michael says they want to take Dec for peanuts and expect us to replace him with a £50 million player. And that's just not going to happen. We haven't had a player of Declan Rice's calibre and quality for a long time. So we're not going to let him go for peanuts, you know. And hopefully they've worked that out by now. Lee says, don't really want McTominay and Maguire. If we are giving up the crown jewels, Alex Scott would be an astute taste. I'm going to get on to Alex Scott in just a second. Waiting for City to swoop in, nick him from underneath. I think that's all what we're waiting for. I'll come on to City in just a second. Michael says 100 mil and a player of 120 million, or go fund yourself. I agree. That's probably, and that's what I'd expect West Ham will put on the table, and Arsenal are just being difficult about it. Phillips and 80 million. Phillips is included in the news that has just broken about Man City, so that is coming next. Lee says, I suspect City will let Arsenal do all the bidding, then gazump them. That's what I'm hoping will happen. Lee says, all indications that Phillips wants to stay at City. He probably feels he can force himself in and do a Jack Grealish improvement in 23-24. In terms of Man City, then let's move on, and there is Manchester City. So Man City could move for Rice, dependent on Gundogan's future, and could include Calvin Phillips in the deal. So there's many factors here with Man City because they've got a solid midfield. I think Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed that they've completed a move for Mateo Kovacic from Chelsea. So it's all beginning to heat up in the transfer window now. So they've signed a midfielder there. And it's all dependent on the future of Ilkay Gundogan that is currently under question. He may be leaving the Etihad this summer. If that does happen and Gundogan leaves, then sources are reporting that Man City could and most probably will move in to try and sign Declan Rice as a replacement. If Gundogan stays, there's no chance they'll bid. But West Ham are expecting Man City to bid this week on the sort of result of the Gundogan saga in that sense. So we are denying and rejecting any bid that comes in from Arsenal at the moment, and we're awaiting and we're expecting Man City to put in a formal bid this week. Of course, Gundogan dependent on that, and it could include Calvin Phillips. So both Manchester sides could be trying to fit a player into this deal as well. Calvin Phillips has stressed that he doesn't want to leave Man City. I don't think he's played much football up there. That was to be expected. He made the move. He's had a couple of injuries. He really hasn't marked his spot on that Man City side, which, to be fair, is a pretty hard thing to do nowadays. But he says he wants to stick with City and try and get in. He said, we've just won the treble. Amazing. He's having the best time of his life, even though he's not playing any football. So it's going to be difficult to sway Calvin Phillips away from the Etihad, but Man City could leave him with no choice if they want Rice, and Phillips has to be included in the deal. I think collectively, we all would rather Rice goes to Man City than any other club in the Premier League, if we're being totally honest. Definitely not Arsenal. Man United, probably don't want him to go there. Man City would be the definite best option for Declan Rice. He's stressed, Declan Rice, in interviews he's done in the past, that he wants to win trophies in his career. He's not going to do that at Arsenal. They've just bottled the league. They've bottled everything. They've never won a European trophy. Right? I'm going to milk that. Don't you worry. I just don't see where the road to trophies is with Arsenal. If they'd have won the league last year and cruised to it, I would have went fair enough. But they bottled it. Man City have come in, and they will not have that opportunity again for a long time, because the league will be a lot better next season. It won't be a 2-horse race for the league next season. I can tell you that for nothing. And I don't think Arsenal will be involved in any race for the title next season. But having said that, they are currently still in pole position. But as we've all mentioned, and as it seems like West Ham are holding out for now, is for Man City to come in and gazump and take and swoop in, put a bid in that's substantially better than Arsenal's low-balling offers currently, and take away Declan Rice. That would be the scenario. If he had to leave, that is the scenario that we probably all want. Fremmer says, yeah, can't see Phillips wanting to go, but I would take 80 million and him. Michael says, just hope it doesn't turn into a saga till the last day of the season. I've said it pretty much since January, where Arsenal, made their interest clear in Declan Rice. I could never see this being done straight away. That Arsenal could have had this done on the first day of the transfer window. They could have rung up David Sullivan. Edu could have rung up David Sullivan. Hello, Dave. How are you? How much do you want for Declan Rice? We want around 120 million pound. Okay, we'll offer you 110. How about that? Okay, deal done. David Sullivan has stressed that he will let go Declan Rice if the right offer comes in. That's all they had to do. It's not difficult. I know there's other sides to transfers and add-ons and all this crap they keep putting in there, but it's really not difficult. He needed to ring him up and go, hello, we'll pay the money. What do you want? If they were serious, but they're not. They haven't been. They've put in these silly offers. Will they put in serious offers? They're waiting, and we're waiting as well. This is playing into our hands, because other clubs are seeing Arsenal be stupid about it, and we're licking our lips, waiting, just frantically, refreshing our emails, looking at our phone, waiting for Chelsea, Man United, Man City to come in. Chelsea are another club as well. They've let go about 5 players to Saudi Arabia in the last 24 hours, so they're going to be rolling it in if they weren't already. So could Chelsea come in as well? Arsenal better hurry up, because if they're not going to put a serious bid in, somebody else will come in and they will take Declan Rice from their hands. Let's take some more of your comments. Dad says, yeah, got to get it sorted either way by the end of June. I think, of course, we'd want the deal done so we could get our own replacement in. But I think this is playing into our hands right now, because we're seeing Arsenal be silly about it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, if David Sullivan would have accepted £75 million in instalments over 4 years and £15 million add-ons that we probably would never get, then I think the fan base would have been an absolute uproar, right? So currently we're doing the right thing. Currently we're just waiting, we're being patient, and hoping that bids they will in time, just got to be patient, come in, that we can talk about in a more serious level for me. Lee says, what basis is there for Arsenal to suddenly have the appeal for a player like Rice? 1 Champions League qualification in 7 years. They have 1 decent season where they bottled the title and won nothing. Bang on. I agree. Rice has agreed personal terms. We believe he wants to stay in London. He's settled. He's just built a house for his family. He's got a young baby, a girlfriend. He's got a house in Surrey. He doesn't really want to move up to Manchester. But if Arsenal keep going like this, he's not going to have much choice, to be honest with you. So his preference is Arsenal. Could he be swayed to Man City? I mean, I would. Personally, I would. Peter says, afternoon, Jake, Richard and all. Stay well clear of Phillips. He is injury prone and no longer a youngster. I would be inclined to agree with that, Peter, to be honest with you. Yeah. Peter says, get the Gratinsky bloke. Oh, no. Get the, I think his Gyökeres from Coventry, Scott from Bristol City, another good centre half, and give some of our youngsters a go. Palhinha isn't worth silly money. That's one thing that I didn't include on this show. I might do that tomorrow, actually. According to reports, Fulham have put a £90 million price tag on Palhinha, a 28-year-old who had a good season last season. Steer well clear of that, if so. 50 million would have been my maximum. He's a good player, but he's not worth £90 million. Not in a million years. Fulham wanting the 90 mil for Palhinha is like saying he's not really for sale. Exactly. Michael says the add-ons are unrealistic. 5 million if they win the Premier League, 5 million if they win the Champions League, 5 million if they win a trophy. That wouldn't surprise me at all. It's not that difficult. We're not stupid, right? We know that add-ons and Arsenal fans and the media have tried to dress it up as a £90 million bid from Arsenal. Well, it hasn't been a £90 million bid from Arsenal, has it? Because if you break it down, it's 75 million over 4-year instalments. Do the math, 75 divided by 4. We're not getting much this summer, right? If that's the case. And then those add-ons that we're never going to get, right? We're never going to get them. So we've just got to stand firm. Transfer windows are a real pain. Our deals to be done in the last week, as usual. It's going to go down to the wire. I'm going to be stood outside the London Stadium on the 1st of September on deadline day. And it's all going to go down to it. I've got a funny feeling that things won't be done early and we're not going to have a peaceful and quiet August. That is for sure. Yeah, so transfer windows. I got what you meant. Harvey Barnes as well, someone I discussed the other day. And we're just waiting for more news on Harvey Barnes, but it looks like he's our number one priority for that position as it stands, and we are ready to put a bid in. Just waiting to do that. I've heard. Michael says 60% of the Gouda fan base don't rate Rice, so he will have to win them over. Unlike, he's loved here. He loves the club. I just hope he doesn't go to Arsenal. Yeah. Back to work for some of you. Oh well. Right, we're going to move on from the Declan Rice saga because every day we're going to talk about it. I've done 17 minutes and we're now going to move on to Alex Scott, just up the road from me, actually, about an hour, up to Bristol City. And initial talks have been held over interest West Ham have in Bristol City midfielder Alex Scott. Now, I've got a couple of mates that are Bristol City fans and they've, can't speak highly enough of him. A very, very good player. One of the best to come out of the Championship this season. He's been linked to a player like Jared Bowen, that sort of breakthrough season. He's going to get a move to the Premier League. We've heard Brighton, Spurs, West Ham and other clubs have shown interest in the 19 years old, and he's ripped it up and played so well in the Championship last season. A Bristol City side that finished mid-table, I think, in the end, but he really was their shining light at Ashton Gate last season. I'd be happy to sign him. I think he's a similar, as I said, signing to Jared Bowen, could get him for around 20-25 million pounds, I've heard, and he could be one for the future. He's only 19. He's not like he's 23, 24, 25. He's 19 years old, and he's proved himself in the Championship. And many scouts and many clubs have interest. He's a very well sought after, and he's a player that will have a lot of interest this summer. It's just who can win the race for his signature. And we're hearing that we could be putting in a bid. We have had those talks initially. We are weighing up whether to put in a bid, but we're hearing David Moyes is a big fan of Alex Scott. And yeah, I'd be chuffed if we signed him, to be honest with you. From what I've heard from a mate who's a City fan, he sounds like a very, very good player. And could he crack it in the Premier League? I don't know, but Moyes has always favoured a Championship player to bring up. Jared Bowen, a prime example. He's now a European champion. He scored a goal to get us that European Championship. So a good player. Will he crack it in the Premier League? I'm not sure, but I think it's 100% worth the risk for a 19-year-old who, again, has got a resale value if we're interested in that, because he's got a good few years left in his career. Yeah, he's only just started and he's been ripping things up. So I don't know. Good player. Peter says, "Is it true we're back in for Batshuayi for the 20th time?" I haven't seen that rumor, but I probably missed a few rumors because it's been quite manic over the last couple of days. Just as I go onto my Twitter now, it's constant. There is more and more and more rumors coming out. I can tell you now, I don't think it's going to be a quiet transfer window. That is for sure. Of course, we have got one of the most highly sought after players, and we're after one of them as well. A rising start up from the Championship. Michael says, also Jed Paqueta injured his shoulder for Brazil. I heard that. There was a rumour he's broke his collarbone. I've heard that's not true, but he did pick up an injury. He did score last night as well for Brazil. It was a header that he flicked on. It was a nice goal. But yeah, let's hope he can get that injury sorted. That's sort of niggled him a couple of times, that shoulder. A couple of times he had to go off last season. So hey ho, hey ho. Peter says Campbell was like Alex Scott playing the men's game. She would do better than Souček. She would. But no, Alex Scott, the 19-year-old Bristol City midfielder, has been linked to a move to West Ham, and I'd be all over it. I'm going to get some Bristol City insight very soon. And if there's more developments on that, we will bring it to you on the Lunchtime News Show. Right. 2 stories left, a manic day. And what's next? We talk about Felipe Anderson. Who remembers him? West Ham have a 50% sell-on clause in Felipe Anderson's contract as clubs show interest in the 30-year-old winger. Now, we sold him for about £3 million in 2020, 2021, I think, that season. And we all thought, we haven't sold him for much. Back to Lazio, it was deemed as a failure. We signed him for £30 million. We sold him for 3. We have, and we did, Fabrizio Romano reported this at the time. The factor that we put into it is we had a 50% sell-on clause for any future moves he has. So if Lazio receives £20 million for him, we'll get £10 million of that, roughly there or thereabouts. There's been interest from Saudi Arabian clubs. Al Hilal, I think, have been interested, and a couple of others. And he could make a move for quite big money because they are putting money on the table right, left and centre for all sort of players over in Saudi Arabia. And he could go for a healthy fee. Now, that would add more money to our transfer kitty because we'd automatically get 50% of that fee that Lazio received. So they'd get the fee in and they'd go, okay, let's forward half of it over to West Ham, and we'd have a bit more money for just putting that into the contract. A very smart and astute bit of business from West Ham, and I don't say that very often. But again, if he makes a move, we're gonna have a few more pounds in the transfer kit. He could get another player in, and it could be good news. I don't know. I thought it was a bit interesting when it sort of came out last night, and Michael says, yeah, hopefully a Saudi club wants in because they'll pay over the odds. They're paying over the odds for everybody. They're playing supermarket sweep round round the footballing world. They're just picking up anyone and everyone they can. So, and if Lazio demands, a decent amount of money, we're gonna have a decent amount of money back. Peter said, "Can see us sending Scamacca for about 5 million, which is the West Ham way." I don't know, the Scamacca sort of rumour and lead has got a bit cold. Not much has happened in the last couple of days. I'm sure it'll be reignited, but I currently have no idea whether he'll stay or go. I think it's definitely one that's still in the balance. I think the player's undecided. I think we West Ham are undecided. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on 100%. Peter says Saudi is the new China where players go for the money and nothing else. It is, unfortunately. And Felipe Anderson, 30 years old, one last huge paycheck. I wouldn't blame him at all. I won't blame him at all. And we're going to get a bit of money out of it as well. So it's a win-win situation. Last up, it's not a rumour. Woohoo, I can hear you shouting. It's not a rumour. And it is about a technical director. We're bringing out all the names now. Tim Steiden is on the verge of becoming West Ham technical director after we fended off interest from Manchester United for the technical director. So we've now got a sporting director in Mark Noble, which I've got no idea what he does. I don't mind at all, but I've got no idea what Mark Noble does Monday to Friday. I think it's a made-up role. Sporting director, he's just there for the laughs, and he really. Now we've appointed a technical director, which we've been told is part of a long-term plan, which would imply to me that's probably more of a Kretinsky sort of thing. I've never heard Sullivan go, we're going to go for a long-term plan here, and bring in this bloke. And I've heard he's going to sort of take over the transfer side of things and bring in a few new players. Of course, we have Rob Newman come in. I don't know whether he's still there, what he's done, or whether he's been sacked or not. Who knows? But Rob Newman came in, and we saw an instant change to our signings. We started bringing in Paqueta, Skamaka, Emerson, all these players that we'd never bought, before Rob Newman came in. We're now bringing in this Tim Steiden bloke, who I'm going to be honest, I have no idea. I hadn't heard of him before last week, and now, we're all supposed to be clued up on him. I've got absolutely no idea who the bloke is, but people seem excited. Manchester United wanted him, which is always a good sign, and we've managed to beat him to the signature, according to Fabrizio Romano. And it is all done, and here we go. It was done last week, Fabrizio said, and we're just expecting an announcement very, very shortly. It's been reported from Sky over in Germany as well that this deal is on the verge of being completed, and it looks like he will be making his way over to East London. But yeah, I think it's an interesting story. What he's going to do, of course, it'll be over time. I'm not so sure. It might be a sort of project that we try and work through with different sort of signings and experiment a bit, and maybe look to take the club and the club's transfer strategy in a different direction, or in a similar direction to we did last summer, and try and build something and create a new philosophy at West Ham. I don't know. It's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. Peter says, I can see us starting the new season poorly and the pressure building on Moyes like last season. Michael says, Steeden likes a project he buys in cheap and sells big like Brighton. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So he could be, we could have looked at Brighton and went, oh, they've done very well there, and tried to replicate that. So that could be interesting. I don't know. Tim Steiden on the verge of becoming West Ham's technical director. We seem to be building up a sort of, a plethora of, well sought after directors, and we're bringing in all these roles that we didn't have before. I didn't think we had all these sort of technical and sporting directors and all this sort of stuff before. So maybe we're trying to head ourselves in a different direction. Peter says, hopefully Noble will force Moyes to play some of our good youngsters before they get fed up. I think Noble's role is more youth development and ambassador role. Yeah, I think he's definitely got a huge part to play with the youth. He's just been given the title of sporting director to make himself, to make it look important. He just wears a tie now, wanders around the place and supports the youth role, and, gets out in the community, I think, which I don't mind at all. I don't mind it whatsoever. So yeah, there we go. You are up to date. That's all the latest West Ham news, transfer news, appointments. It's all come to you. Let's do a quick run through of what we've discussed today. So Arsenal keep putting in these silly bids of 60 and 70 million pounds for the English midfielder Declan Rice, and we are currently standing firm and denying and waiting for a club like Manchester United or Manchester City to come in and swoop and get Declan Rice and pay the money, put it on the table, be serious, so we can all move on with our lives. Next up, Alex Scott, could we bring in the young 19-year-old midfielder from Bristol City? Initial talks have been held, and we are looking to bring in the Englishman very, very shortly. West Ham have a 50% sell-on clause of Felipe Anderson's contract, so if he does move from Lazio this summer, West Ham could pick up some valuable money. And lastly, Tim Steiden is on the verge of becoming West Ham's new technical director, which could take the club in a different route, on a different direction, with new ideas and new signings. There you go. You're up to date. Thanks for watching. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Michael, Peter, everybody else watching in the chat, thank you very much indeed. I'll try and join you again tomorrow if there is more exciting news coming out of the West Ham world. But from me, come on your minds, and we'll see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.